Good afternoon and welcome to my Facebook Live. My name is Michelle Dutrissa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up here in New South Wales, Australia. Okay, first off I'm just going to quickly find us on our tablet or on my tablet and hopefully I can pick that up fairly soon. So I hope you're all having a lovely day today. Whoops, there we are, and as normal I forgot to turn my volume right down. So let's turn that off. I'll pop that over here. Please say hello and let me know if you are watching and where you're from, because I would love to say hello to you. So we're going to get started with this right away today. So I'm going to flip my camera, so bear with me one moment as I flip the camera around. Won't be a moment. Hi Glenda, glad you could join us today. Okay, won't be one moment. There we go. Whoops, that just let me tighten that up. Sorry, my hands are going to get in the road here. I just need to make sure that this camera is well and truly in. Yes, sorry about that. Okay then. Oh, I think we can live with that. Okay, so what I've done today is I've pulled out a stamp set that I haven't used for a very long time, and this was when it first came out, one of my favorites, and it's the Forever Blooms stamp set. It's got these beautiful blossoms, Forever Blossoms, beautiful blossom stamp, and lots of lovely sentiments on it as well. It also comes with some dies. Now I've just actually popped them into here. You can't buy them anymore as a bundle that's been long finished, but the dies are called Cherry Blossom dies, and if I open this up you can see there's quite a few dies in this. So you've got let me just turn this over. You got this beautiful stamp here, and we have a die here that completely cuts that out, and also the little flower and the leaves, the buds, there's dies to cut each one of those out as well. Now with these dies, there's also some added extra dies. You've got these lovely blossoms here that you can die cut, and then these lovely flowers and lots of leaves and stamens and that. And admittedly, I haven't used them. Now, I can't remember when this exactly came out, probably maybe a year or more ago, but I've used all the stamps. I've used the die to cut this large one out, but I have never used these ones here. So all of those and these, and what they've done with these ones too is they've given us two of each one, so it means when cutting them out they're a lot quicker. And the other one I haven't used is this one. So today I thought what we'll do is I'm going to have a bit of a play with this. So I've done all the die cutting already, just to sort of save on a bit of time. I must admit, I've spoken to my mother on the phone and I didn't like what I was doing and showed her, and she's helped me out. So with a bit of help from my mum, I've come up with something, or some colouring techniques. So I hope you're going to enjoy what we're going to do today. So if you want to join along, you can. You can quickly grab some products or take note of these that I've got here and the measurements that I'm using. I will put all this on my blog. I'll also over the weekend upload this to my YouTube channel, so you can go back and rewatch it again on YouTube. So what we're going to be using today, I've got a piece of Sahara sand, and that's for our card base, and that measures 10.5 centimeters wide by 29.9, and I've scored it at 14.9, so you can fold that, and that's our card base. I've then got a piece of Blushing Bride. Now I've actually cut this bigger than what we need. It's actually 1/4 of a sheet of A4. So if you're going to use the measurements for the American size cards in the letter card stock, then you would cut again a quarter of a sheet of your letter size card stock, and then you can trim it down. So the front of this card here measures 10.5 by 14.9, and eventually I will cut this down and it'll work out about a quarter of an inch smaller. So yours would be 4.25 inches by 5.5 inches, and then you would eventually cut this piece down to 4 inches by 5.25. Okay, so that's those pieces. I've got a piece here of Very Vanilla, which is already cut down for my insert, cut down to 10 centimeters by 14.4. So again, that's quarter of an inch smaller than your card base. And then I've got another piece of Very Vanilla, which we're going to cut using the dies from, let me just work out what that was from, the scalloped contour dies. So we're going to cut this piece out there, which I have already done over here. So we're going to end up with a piece like that, and that will actually fit on the front of my card. So we're going to be decorating our Blushing Bride and then layering some die cuts onto our Very Vanilla. You will also need another little piece, scrap piece of your crumb cake for our sentiment. And then also too, you'll need some more Blushing Bride to cut out your flowers, and you'll need some pear pizzazz, and I've just used scraps for all of this to cut out some of our leaves, and I also cut out some of our leaves in Old Olive. And then you will need some Mango Melody to cut out our stamens. So I've done all that die cutting for us. So let me just start off with, let's decorate our Blushing Bride piece first. So I'm just going to pop all these pieces to one side. So I've taken the large blossom stamp here and mounted it on my block. And we're going to start stamping that onto our Blushing Bride using the crumb cake. Sorry, that wasn't Sahara Sand, that was crumb cake. So I'm terribly sorry. That piece there, oops, is actually, card base is actually in crumb cake, and our scraps are in crumb cake for our sentiment as well. Okay, having one of those days today. Okay, so let's pop that over there and let's get some stamping done. Don't need that little bit on there. So we're going to stamp up our stamp image, and we're just going to randomly stamp this over our piece of Blushing Bride. You can just turn this around as you work around, making sure we're sort of getting nice coverage of those flowers, just decorating the background. So it's just going to give us a nice subtle image on the back. Just making sure you turn your stamp in different directions each time you stamp. I'm not worried about that piece there because that is going to get covered up by our piece of Very Vanilla. Now if you do stamp this and you've got some holes, you can always come back and use some of those flowers and the leaves in the other stamps in this set to fill in some of those holes that may be left. So don't feel that you've got to fill everything up first time round. Remember, this is just to form a background. We are going to trim this down a little bit. I do want to put maybe that there. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. So let's pop this one aside for now and let this dry. Bring out our trimmer, and we're going to cut this down, as I said, to 10 centimeters by 14.4. So 10 by 14.4, and that would be 1/4 of an inch smaller than in the American Imperial. Okay, so that's our mat done for our base. So that's going to actually go on here, and we can adhere that now directly onto there. Just make sure you have it turned around the way you want it to go, because that is going to go on there, or whether you want to have that going that way. That's the way I want it. So work out which direction you want. And we're going to adhere this straight down onto our card base. Again, using that multi-purpose glue to allow us time to slip this into the position we want. Now, while I'm thinking about it, what I might do is also stamp our piece that's going to be our insert for our card. So again, I'm just going to use the crumb cake for this, and I'm using that large floral, and I'm just going to stamp these images just down one side of my cardstock, just like that. And again, that can be popped in here. Now, as I said before, please say hi and let me know where you're from. If you have any questions or anything, please don't hesitate in asking. If I don't see your comments, because not all the times has this been showing up comments, I'm just doing a quick, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't have touched my tablet just then. It's decided I'm not playing games with you. Okay, so I'm going to stick that on the inside. Just let me grab this again. Okay. Oh, now I can see comments. Yes. Hi, Shelley. Hi, Renee. How are you? Where are you from, Renee? Okay, then. And Carol, lovely to have you all watching. Okay, so we've got our insert for our card done. We've done our mat on our card front. We've got this already die cut, but we're going to pop that on in a little while. So now we're going to look at let's do our sentiment. Okay, so what I've done with the sentiment, I'm using for the sentiment the many messages, but not the stamp set. I'm just using the dies that go with it. And what I've done is I've made myself a template out of a piece of crumb cake, because I really like the sentiments that go with the stamp set, and I found one that fits perfectly into one of the pieces that goes in here, on one of the shapes that you cut out. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of crumb cake, I've popped my dies onto it, and I've run it through my cut and embossing machine, and I've been left with all of these little pieces here. So I have got all of them, and I've popped them all into a little bag here so I can use them at any time. So there's another good reason for purchasing some of the bags, cellophane bags that we've got in our catalogue, because you can pop all those little bits and pieces in there. I've kept one of them. I've made sure that my stamp will fit into there, so I'm using my stamp apparatus. So I'm going to use this piece that I've cut all the other little bits and pieces out as a template. I'm laying it onto my stamp apparatus. I've taken my stamp and I've popped it into the hole that's left from the piece I've taken out where I want to stamp, and made sure I've lined all that up. So it's now there on my stamp apparatus, and I can come in. Now I've taken this little piece that I've cut out before. I'm going to pop that back in here so it fills up that hole. I'm going to use my Early Espresso stamp ink because I want this to be not black, not dark as black, but I wanted to keep it in those nice earth tonings. I'm going to ink that up. So I'm using this as a template. One of the pieces I've cut out in my crumb cake, and I've got in crumb cake, I've got about half a sheet of A4 here, so you would also use your half a sheet of letter, and I'm just going to press that down, and hopefully there you go, there's our sentiment already stamped now on that piece in there. So you can use these just not just for your sentiments that comes with the many messages, but if you've got other sentiments you want to use and you like these small little tags and different shapes and everything, just check that it fits inside there, and then you can cut your piece that you can put in there and use this as a template. So I hope that all makes sense for you. But it's just another way to use your stamp apparatus and to use all your dies to get a little bit more versatility out of them. So I'm going to now pop that to one side. So we've got our card base, we've got our sentiment, we've got that piece, and I'm just going to close this up before I get ink everywhere. And I'm going to bring in my little pack of dies. So I've been already playing, I've started playing a little bit. So what I've got, as I said before, I've used the colours that I've used, your Blushing Bride, your Old Olive, and Pear Pizzazz. And I actually also use a little bit of So Saffron, and I'll show you in a moment, and I used your Mango Melody. So this is what we're going to do with our flower. We're going to make all our flowers look a little bit like that, and we're going to use some colouring techniques to colour that up. So we need to do some more. So what I've done is I've actually taken some more of these flowers, and I've got a whole stack in here, and we've got all our little leaves and so forth. Now just let me just pull some of these out. Now the reason why I've got So Saffron is, I'll just take them all out, I think. With the little tiny weeny little flowers here, let me just show you one here. When you die cut these little ones here, you actually get a little piece that's in the middle is die cut as well. So you've got these two size flowers, and then you've got this, whoops, can't pick up. You've got that little piece there which comes out of that one, and then you have this bigger one comes out of that flower there. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut some of these flowers in the So Saffron because I wanted some of these little centers here, and let's see if I've got some smaller ones in the So Saffron. So they're all stuck inside the cellophane bag, but that's okay, we can get them out. See if I... Okay, so there's some tiny little ones there, but I wanted those to be the center of these flowers. So I don't actually need that one, and I don't need those little ones there. I want these ones here. Then I've taken the Mango Melody and I've die cut the stamen here. So they're some of the pieces we're going to be using. We're also going to be using some of the leaves. So I've done some of the leaves in Pear Pizzazz. I've also done some of the leaves in your Old Olive, and I've done this piece here in the Old Olive as well. But I'm going to show you how I've coloured that up. So let me just move these to one side. So you need some sponge daubers. To colour these, and you'll also need, pop that over to one side so I've not got so much here in front of me. You'll also need some Blushing Bride in your ink pad. You also need some Cajun Craze, and the other item that we're going to be using are the soft pastel chalks. And then if you've got some cotton buds, that we're going to be using that as well to help colour these flowers. So we're going to start off with our Blushing Bride. Pop that to one side because we don't need that just as yet. I'll just use that one. So at the moment I'm probably going to do of at least 2 in each size, just because we're going to play around a little bit. So we're just going to take some of the Blushing Bride and we're just going over the tips or around the outside edge of that die, just colouring the edge. You can go up a little bit into the petals, but just to give a little bit of shading and depth to each of those flowers. We're just using our sponge dauber to do this. Just very quickly, just flick that colour all the way around those edges. And then this one as well. Now you can also grab a couple of these tinier, smaller flowers and just put a little bit around the edges of that one and this smallest one. Always better to do more than what you need, because then at least you've got plenty there to play around with. So let's just grab a couple of more here. And remember, when you die cut these, Stampin' Up have been really good in giving us the dies to cut 2 of each of these flowers, so you won't take long to die cut these at all. Another one of those small ones. So just going around. Going to do just a few more. So I hope you're having some really nice weather where you all are. Now if you do live here in Australia, if you go over to my Facebook page after this video, you will see that I've got a advert there for an event that's coming up that I'm participating in, and that's the Whimsy and Wonder Sweet Stamp Camp that I'm doing with the Creativity Abounds team that I'm with, and we'll be doing in September a weekend of card making using that bundle. So if you are here in Australia and when you would like to participate with us, all you need to do is purchase that bundle through me. If you have already purchased the bundle and you'd like to attend, then all you'd need to do is purchase for the same amount, which is, I think, is 100 and, let me have a look. So let me just grab my mini catalogue, because it's actually in the mini catalogue, this bundle. So the bundle we are using very pretty bundle. It's actually one of my favorites, Whimsy and Wonder, which is this one here. Okay, and that whole collection comes to $139.50. So for $139.50, you purchase this whole collection through me, and then you will get the weekend for free, which will be, there's 13 of us in the team, so there'll be 13 videos shown. There'll also be a tutorial you'll get for 13 other cards. You'll get products to make those cards as well, and I think there might be some videos as well coming with it, as well as the Facebook Live. So there's quite a bit in it. If you've already purchased this and you do want to attend, then you just need to spend $139.50 on other products through my store at michelledutrissa.stampinup.net. So, and then I would probably just recommend just to let me know that that's what you have done, so I know you're attending and I can prepare some stuff for you. But anyway, if you want to know more details, just let me know and I can get those details to you. It should be a fun weekend, that's for certain. Okay, so we've coloured all of those up, so let's keep going with this. And we're going to add a little bit of green to the center of our flowers. We're going to do that with our soft pastels. So I'm just going to use the cotton bud here. Just, I hope you can see that. I'm just running my cotton bud over the chalk, picking up some chalk on there, and I'm just going to color the center of that flower just very, very lightly, and then just take out the petals, or take your bud out towards the end of the petals a little bit. So we're just putting just a soft amount of color just on the inside, just to give a little bit of depth, so then the flower looks like it's actually going, because all your petals go in and form like a little cup. So we just want to put a little bit of shading in the middle, just to form that sort of that illusion or that look of everything going into the center. By just using your chalks, we're just keeping those colors very, very soft there. Okay, I'm not going to worry about the other ones. I'm just wanting to do that on those. So that's all we're going to do with our chalks. And now we've just got our stamen, which we have got in our Mango Melody. Now again, we've got in the die cut, it'll cut out 2 of each of these stamens. I think I've got them all there. Now what I've done, whoops, flip that over. One of these I've already coloured. So what I've done is I've coloured that using Cajun Craze. So we're just going to use a little bit of Cajun Craze. Just move that out of the road. Again with our dauber, just holding down. We only want to put it onto the tips of the stamen. We're not going all the way, so I'm just running this along the very tips of that stamen. Just want to take out a little bit of that's got a bit of a harsh line. think I must have got my nail in the road there a little bit. That's okay. Just to take out that line. So I'm just going to do all those little stamens. Now it's really good to go back and find a stamp set that you haven't played with for quite a while and to revisit it, because sometimes when new products all come out, which is what's happening at the moment with our new mini catalogue, you get so excited about all these fantastic new stamps and dies and everything that we tend to forget about those other sets that we've really loved in the past and not use them as much. So just thought today, by revisiting this one, which, as I said before, was one of my favourites, it's nice to have another play. But I hadn't used any of these dies. I don't know why, because they are so cute. Okay, so we're going to pop these flowers together. My centres, that's what I need to do. So I need to grab out, now I'm going to use my tweezers here just to help me. So I want to grab out some of these. Let me find some more. Must be a lot more here yet. There's another one of that size. I separate all my leaves. Don't need those ones. Okay. Excuse me. Let's see if I can get some more out of here. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to put these in here straight away today. It is a good idea to store them in this, because then you can put them in your cellophane, your bits and pieces back into the cellophane and put them in with your stamp set. They're there for another time if you need to use them. Okay, so let's pop those leaves all there for the moment. Don't need that little pink one there. Let's take him out. And I'm going to try to put a little bit of Cajun Craze just on some of these little pieces. Now this is a little bit fiddly. But I'm just going to pop just a little bit of Cajun Craze on there, and hopefully it's just picking it up, but more so on the edges than all over. And I think I'm happy with that. So I haven't gone too dark on there, just tapping them a little bit just to give them a little bit of difference in colour. So that's all our colouring. So let's pop these all up here, and we're going to bring in, no, we're going to actually glue these ones here together, I think. So just need to grab, it's probably easiest to use your tweezers for this. Put a little bit of glue at the base of that stamen at the bottom, just a touch, don't need too much. Just going to glue a little bit of that on. Pop another little bit of glue there. One more to go. I've got a couple of spare. Okay, so we'll just let those dry. So let me pop those up there to dry. Our other little flower centers, and we're going to bring in our sentiment and our very vanilla scalloped rectangle. This piece here, which I've also cut out in the old olive, is probably going to sit there, and that's going to sit somewhere like that. So let's pop a little bit of adhesive on here. So just on the back. Just going to pop some adhesive on there. I'm only putting it into that center part there because I do have part of this hanging over, and I have got my glue so spread a little bit there, but that's okay because it's all going to get covered up. So it's just really tacking it down at the moment, because once we start putting our flowers on top, it's going to start holding all of that down. And we're also going to be using, to hold some of these flowers down, we may use some dimensionals. So let me just grab those. Got the large ones and the mini ones, because I'm not quite sure exactly which ones we're going to use, and let's work out where some of these flowers can sit. So do like the idea of that one maybe going there. I know that the sentiment, I want to go across here somewhere, and it is going to actually go onto a dimensional. So that's going to go there. Just work out, I just want to put a little bit more. I'm just going to add just a little bit of that Cajun craze just on those tips. Just want to just darken the ends of those petals up just a little bit. I'm only just using what excess ink I've got on that dauber. I'm not adding any more to it. So that's a large flower. I've got two large and one small. It's just a matter of working out where you want things positioned. Now I know I've got 4 flowers here, but I'm probably only going to be using 3. And it's just working out exactly where I'm going to use those 3. So I think I'm going to pop one of the larger ones there. And I'm just going to put glue into the center, so then I want to tuck some leaves or anything around I can. Just hold that down for a few seconds just to let that dry and take. It could go there. I pop that one onto dimensional. I'm just going to use a mini one, I think, here on this. So what do you all think of our mini catalogue? Are you loving it? I think there's some beautiful bits and pieces in there. Okay, I'm just going to just tuck that under just a little bit under there, even though I haven't put a dimension on that one. I've put the dimension on that, but I've just tucked that underneath there like that. I'm going to pop a couple of dimensionals onto the back of my sentiment because I just want to be able to tuck a few things and see where it's all going to be positioned. So that's probably going to sit just like there, like that. And then we have another flower, which could be which may go there. Let's have a quick look at some of these other ones we've got here. So that can go there. We need, okay, so that one's going to go on there. So let's just pop a bit of glue on those. You don't need too much because we don't want it to ooze out too much. So we're going to pop one of those there. And also too, as I said before, with the leaves, we just don't want to glue it all down solidly because I want to be able to tuck a few leaves in underneath things as well. That one's going to go there. Let's pop a little bit of glue in the center of those. Now I'm just going to take a pick tool. This is where these come in handy, and I'm going to use that putty end to pick that up, to pop that in. Now I've just got it sitting there at the moment. I'm just going to use the stylus tip. Whoops, it's actually picked up one of the smaller pieces underneath it, so I'm just going to pop that straight in there. And I've just got to move it around a little bit just because, so we've got it sitting in the right spot, because I want it sitting inside that hole that was left for, just like that. Oops, we want to turn that over. Sometimes these things can be a little bit fiddly, but sometimes they are worth it. Spend a bit of time playing. Don't think that's quite in the right position, but it is going to do. Pop that over there. So I do like that there, and I'm going to pop another dimensional under that one. That can go there. Now let's pop a few leaves in. Start building this up. So we're going to just putting a bit of glue just on the tip, because this is where I want to be able to slip this in. And using a mixture of both your old olive and your pear pizzazz, so don't necessarily feel that you have to just use all one colour, because leaves even on one tree can have a little bit of tonal difference depending on how old the leaf is. Okay, where am I going to pop this one? Just trying to work it out. That one into there. By cutting lots of these and lots of the little ones and the bigger ones, you've got a lot of here to play around with, so you can sort of really sort of fill up some of these areas and just add leaves where you want them to go, not where you don't want them to go. Whoops, let me just flick that completely off. keep adding, just slowly building up. Slip those underneath there. Just remember too, sometimes less is more or more is less. You don't need to put a huge amount on, you know, sometimes just having a few little bits and pieces is quite enough. And odd numbers is always better than using even numbers. So I'm just going to add another flower, I think, down there. So you don't need to go overboard with how much you add on. Always add on, you know, a little bit maybe, and then you can always take stuff away. Or if you add on a little bit, you can come back and add a little bit more. Let's put a bit of glue in the center of that flower, and it's one of the tiny ones. So move this around until we get it in the right position. Happy with that. Okay, so now let's just have a look, see where else we can add a few more leaves. Okay, what do you think? Do I need to add more or not? Hi Shelley, you've come in at the right time. Do I need to add more leaves? Might just add a little one in there. Oops, that might be a bit too much glue on that one. Let's wipe some of that off. Okay, let's just have a look at this with our card front and see what we think. So there's our card front. I think I need to add a little bit of glue on the back of that one. And I think that might be it. Otherwise, as I said before, I can start to add too much. And what I can also do is I can add a little bit of bling. So let me just pop some dimensionals onto the back of that. Let me get rid of that rubbish. So I'm going to use the large ones. And let's just pop a few dimensionals on here. I'm going to double up a couple of mini ones. So I'm going to pop mini one onto there, take the backing off that, because I've already added some dimensionals onto the back of my sentiment, and then I've added it on top of this piece, which I'm also adding dimensionals on. It's already got one layer, so to bring it to the same level as to this piece, very vanilla with the dimensionals on it, I'm adding 2 dimensionals on top of each other there. And then the height is all the same, so the height between that one and that one are now very similar. So let's just pull off all these backings. Get rid of those dimensionals there. Bring our card back in. Now sometimes when I tend to do cards, I tend to like to have these pieces not in the center, as in width-wise, but even in depth. I did show card and ticket writing when I was a teenager through TAFE, and they taught us that you should always have a larger amount at the bottom than at the top, and it just means that anything that you do at the bottom doesn't look like it's falling off. So if you had this or more towards the bottom, it actually looks like it's falling off the card. It's not actually anchored to the card. So that's why I sort of tend to leave a wider piece across here. So I've probably got around about 2.5 centimeters there, whereas I've only got 1.5 to 2 centimeters up the top here. Okay, so I want to add a little bit of, sorry, that was just hiding behind my rubbish bin, a little bit of, let's move those out of the road, Winker Stella, and I'm just going to tap this on, so let's see if I don't make a mess. Just giving it a bit of a squeeze just to make sure that there's some ink there, and I just want to tap this on just to add a little bit of sparkle to this. Just want to get a little bit more. Just got to squeeze this ever so gently, because I have been known to do this and end up with a big blob and have to start my card all over again. So let's just try a little bit more. Oops, I did get a bit of a blob. That's okay. I'm happy with that. We'll leave it at that. Maybe just put a little bit in the center of each of those just to give it a little bit of extra. And that's my card for today. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've enjoyed revisiting a stamp set that maybe has been a little bit forgotten. As I said, the dies were completely forgotten because I know I've never actually used these dies before, and I've actually had so much fun playing around today with these dies. So it is really, really good to go back to your cupboard, revisit a few of the bits and pieces that we tend to forget when new catalogues and so forth come out, and we're so busy playing with all the new stuff that we forget that there's some nice other stuff in there as well. So go to your cupboard, have a look at your stamp sets, pull out something that you haven't played with for a while and make something, and tag me in whatever you've made, because I really would love to see what you're making. So have a lovely day. I hope you've enjoyed this card. I will post this onto my blog and on my YouTube channel. A few extra little colouring techniques there with using both your chalks and your stamps to give a little bit of texture and highlighting to your flowers, so they're not all just a flat colour. And it is really, really simple and lots of fun to do. So I hope I catch up with you all again next week on Friday, and take care and look after yourselves. I'll see you later. Bye for now.